Welcome to the Businessmen and Women of Color podcast. I am your host, Ann Alston, and it is my pleasure to bring quality programs to all of you. I am so excited to be back again this year, and I am so happy and grateful for all of the speakers who are on this podcast this year and that they are here to give us really good information. So please take advantage of this unique opportunity by visiting all of the pages and listening to all of the podcasts. This is just one of those things where you just cannot get anywhere else. Just in case you don't know what the podcast is about, it's about networking our small businesses and sharing industry and profession information. And also, if you are a new career seeker or you are a working professional, there is tons of information that's being shared that could apply to you. And if you're thinking about entering this line of work, definitely reach out to the contacts that's on this page. They're here to talk and help you. I also would like to take a moment to thank our corporate sponsors, a family of authors, Butler Armstead Consulting Solutions, Human Resource Learning Center, J&F Enterprises, and Women Offering Wealth, along with our business sponsors for helping us make this event a huge success. So today I have another amazing speaker here today who is doing such great things for young men out there today and is also an author. So one of the major questions I want to ask for not only individuals but also small businesses is, what are you doing to serve your community, to give back to the people who is ultimately your customer, the community residents? Are you providing some type of service or product that can make a difference in their life for a better outcome, to help them enhance and change their life? You know, for my business particularly, I try to use my talents not only for my business and getting paid doing it, but I also find a way to give back to the people in the community because ultimately they help patron what I do and they patron everybody who's on this podcast. So today I have a guest speaker here who's going to talk about his organization, which is Serve LLC. And he also has a book about self-affirmation and also children affirmation. And I'm so excited to have him on the show today. So I want to welcome to the podcast Reginald Gant. Reginald is the founder of Serve LLC, and its mission is to teach everyone and stands for seek excellence, respect, and value every day. So each of those words has, the first letter of serve. And so I think that that's a perfect fit, that you want to be able to seek excellence, respect, and value every day of your life. He's also the author of two books entitled Serve Yourself to Greatness and Serve Your Children to Greatness. He also holds a bachelor's degree from the University of Baltimore, and he is very active in the community, serving on the board of directors for local nonprofits aimed at serving inner city underprivileged youth. And because of his dedication and his work ethic, he also serves as a career advisory board member for his alma mater at University of Baltimore. Reginald has served as a mentor in many different ways with different organizations and is now a leader of the God's Men men's ministry at his church, which is House of Worship in Randallstown, Maryland. And as a business owner who gives back, he is very active in working directly with nonprofits, churches, and other organizations concerning personal career and personal development and professional development. So I would like to welcome to the show Reginald. Reginald, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic, and thank you so much for having me.
No problem at all. So tell us about Serve and what you do there.
So Serve is something that's very near and dear to my heart. In 2009, I remember vividly waking up from a dream, and in the dream, God just said serve, and I didn't know what it was, what it meant. So at the time, I just journaled it, I wrote it down. And later on, I had another dream, and God told me that I would be doing a lot of work with men. Like that would be one of my purposes, one of my callings in life. So Serve actually started for me as a men's ministry because as a young man growing up in the inner city of Baltimore, raised in a single-parent household by my mom, I realized the importance a dad or a male figure makes. And I remember some times in my life where, I was frustrated, really couldn't talk to mom. So Serve was invented to actually create like a safe haven where men can be men, where men can discuss issues that men have in a safe environment, for healing and things of that nature. And that's basically the premise of it.
Okay. Alrighty. So, what exactly do you do in terms of the services that you provide for Serve?
So, sir, right now what we're doing, we're in the very beginning stages. We have weekly calls, actually bi-weekly calls. So we're connecting right now via a men's call, and basically what I'll do is I'll just pick some topics that relate to men. Like tonight's topic, for example, was work-life balance. Previous topics included, how to serve your wife, how to serve your children, things of that nature. So right now we're starting with just some conference calls, some weekly prayer calls, and things of that nature. But we're also going to eventually branch that into meetups. And one thing that I'm big about is training and development. So Serve actually partners with organizations, whether it's a local business or a nonprofit or an educational institution, and we actually provide training and development because I'm a certified trainer, and we do a lot of personal and professional development related workshops in the community.
Okay, so kind of going back a little bit about what you said about work-life balance for men. I kind of want to hit on this point because there's always conversation about work-life balance for women. And one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about serve is because a lot of times we don't hear much about men and work-life balance. And I kind of want to get your perspective of what your thoughts is of what that should be for a young man, or maybe give some advice and elaborate a little bit more about what your teaching is or what that looks like.
Absolutely. Well, work-life balance in my world, I'll be honest and forthright that I'm a Christian, so God is at the center of everything that I do and the reason why I do what I do. So, without God, it's kind of hard to have work-life balance. So, putting that into perspective, once you have God, then it's a matter of what's priority to you, and it really should be in the order of God, family, career. Because at the end of the day, when you're talking to somebody that's 80 or 90 years old and they're on their deathbed, right, they're not wishing that they had went to work and worked a little bit harder. They're wishing that they had more time to spend with their loved ones, their family, their children. So I believe that work-life balance is critical for men because as a young man myself, I know how men are focused and how they're driven and once they set their eyes on a goal, like they're relentless until they get it, in the workplace. But sometimes we have to remember that, family is our number one ministry. Family is our gift from God. And we have to take care of those loved ones, who support us behind the scenes while we pursue, our career or aspirational goals that way. So work-life balance for me means definitely educating other men that, work is important, but let's not exclude our family. Let's not leave our family out, and we share little tips and things of that nature, here along the way, as to how you can help make that balance more realistic.
Okay, do you feel that in the African American community that there's not a lot of work-life balance in terms of our young men? Or do you kind of feel like that they have it, but they're not really sure what to do with it, or they sort of doing it thinking it's done a certain way, and they may have God in their heart, in their spirit, but from your perspective, what do you think could be the problem, or what you are providing that's solving the problem? I should say that.
Well, I think in the African American community, just like any other community, work life balance is something that we probably all struggle with. In our community, a lot of times now what you have is single parent households, right? Mom raising the child. So mom is playing mom and dad, which means that mom is working, sometimes two and three jobs to make the ends meet. So there is no work life balance in that situation. When dad is around, sometimes, because of lifestyle, mom and dad are both at work. So, work life balance is kind of, at a standstill there as well. So, yeah, in our community, definitely work life balance is something that can improve upon, but I think that's just universal. We all get focused on our careers, but we all really need to take time to remember, what's really important in life.
Okay. So what would you say would be the some of the top reasons when you're talking to these young men and you're talking about work-life balance and they're telling you what their potential issues are? What are some of the top things that they normally, kind of relate to you?
Uh, Too much work pressure, not enough time, too many deadlines, things of that nature. I know a lot of young people, a lot of people my age, I'm in my, I guess, middle to late 30s at this point. A lot of people are attached to their cell phone, right? So technology, emails are constantly coming in, text messages are constantly coming in, social media, those things are a distraction. So, some tips that we share, when we're doing our workshops or our trainings or our meetups or our conference calls, put technology away. When you're home with your family, work is at work, home is home. When you're at the dinner table, there's no time to be on your cell phone or your tablet, or your iPhone or your iPad at that particular point, right? Be in the present. That's one of the things that my wife and I, are real keen about is being in the present moment. So things like that, technology, how to draw boundaries. I know a lot of people actually struggle with having a support. So, one of the things that I encourage people is that build up a support network. So whether that's, a village of people around you, friends and family to help, pitch in, maybe somebody who's going to the grocery store can pick up some things for you, and drop them off, or you pick them up at a later time, while you focus on something else. Build that network that way. As far as men go, have that emotional support. When you get frustrated, right, have a group of guys around you, guys that are God fearing first and foremost, to bounce ideas off, to bounce your frustrations off, so that when you get home, you're not taking it out on the wife or the significant other and the children. And then, at work, having those trusted colleagues, to be able to share things with that you may not want to share, with your spouse or your significant other when you get home. So there's a lot of tips out there, but work-life balance is something that's very important. And for me, I feel is one of the things that I definitely need to share with African American men, because we get so focused, and I want us to enjoy the journey. We're all going to reach success, is what I feel, if we have locked in on it. But we need to enjoy the journey, and we need to celebrate with the people that are there along the way, our family.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Okay, so in relation to that, what are some of the other services that you do in terms of serve and your volunteer services or whatever services that you provide for the community?
Absolutely. So, this coming Saturday is a great plug actually for anybody that's in the Randallstown area. I lead up what we call Project Clean, and that's sponsored through Give Life, a nonprofit through my church. So Project Clean, basically, because our church is going to be moving into the Randallstown area, hopefully before the end of this year, we actually clean the Randallstown community on a quarterly basis. So we designate 4 times a year: April, June, August, and October. And one Saturday we'll take about 2.5, 3 hours. We'll actually just come clean up around the church, clean the neighborhood. And that's just free of charge. And what we're trying to do is actually, while we're cleaning, we take that opportunity to evangelize any neighbors in a particular area. We take that opportunity to share, hey, this is our church, this is our building. We're going to be coming soon, even though we're not here yet. We just want to let you know that we're going to keep these grounds clean, and we'd appreciate your support if you can help us do the same thing. So through Project Clean, we get to evangelize, we get to clean the neighborhoods. We also get to offer service learning hours, to anybody that has youth in high school, and they bring them out and they volunteer for a couple of hours. That's a great way to get that community service up. My wife and I, we actually also serve on what we call Reach Randallstown, and what that is that's also sponsored through Give Life, and we go into the communities and we provide free workshops. So we're talking about resume writing workshops, interviewing workshops, how to get the career you want workshops, social media, branding, things of that nature. We actually provide these workshops free of charge to anybody in the community. And another project that my wife and I are working on right now, we actually have linked up with the company, and they actually provide 2 mobile apps that provide 24/7 direct legal access for emergency situations and 24/7 direct access for identity theft situations. So we're actually starting to actively promote that company and those mobile apps, because we believe that, especially in our African American community, especially with my young men, having access to the legal system is a must. It's mandatory, because as soon as you step out of the door, all eyes on you all day long. So having
Absolutely.
that access,
Absolutely. Right. Okay. So, guys, I just want you to make sure that you all hearing this, that, if you are in the Randallstown area of Baltimore, They're talking about providing services that can help one get education service hours, that can help with career development. And I encourage you to reach out to Reginald Gant or his wife, because she is also going to be on this podcast talking about career development as well. So make sure you check out her page as well. Take advantage of these things. That's why we're doing this podcast. That's why we're sharing this information, because it's all to help you and to also thrive in the small business community, to share that kind of information. So now, Reginald, I want to talk about your book, because serving yourself with greatness and serving your children is a great title for a book. And I kind of want to know a little bit more about those books that you wrote and why you wrote the book. What inspired you to decide to kind of sit down and say, I just want to write a book on how do you move to greatness?
Absolutely. So I'll share this. I'll give you a little backdrop. I grew up. My mom, she really was a phenomenal mother, affirming me my entire life. I was younger. I had braces, right? I'm dark skinned. So I had really bad eczema. I had dark skin. I had braces because I had gaps between each tooth. And, I didn't think that my mom dressed me in the best of clothes when I was younger. So my self esteem was really low to none. And that actually was all throughout high school into my early years, into like my freshman or sophomore year in college. And then one day I just, getting deeper into the Word of God, I really started to believe who God said that I was. And I just really started to change my thought process, affirming myself, things of that nature. I started to read more books on personal development. I started to surround myself with people who actually like speak life over me, people who support me, people who encourage me to go for my dreams and things of that nature. And one of my dreams was to actually become an author and a motivational speaker as a child. So I took the opportunity to actually put it into practice. I had a fear of public speaking. I had a fear of writing. I had a fear of basically of being successful. So I decided to affirm myself and actually just go for it. And I wrote my first book, Serve Yourself to Greatness, and that's really geared towards minutes. Both books are 30-day affirmations, so it gives you one affirmation a day. It gives you a scripture to back that up, and it actually asks you a couple of questions, So it has a little place in the book where you can jot down your own personal thoughts and things of that nature, because the book is inspired to create thought, to create, affirmation, to for you to keep track of those things that you want and actually write those things down, because the Bible says write the vision and make it plain. So by affirming yourself, what you do is you begin to reprogram your thoughts. And I believe that a person can speak life over any particular situation, any person, and I think that those things can begin to change. So I wanted to write, books to encourage people to do that.
Okay. And so when you wrote the book about serving your children, it was that based on, your own family, or is that just based on when you were growing up as well?
Well, this book is universal. So my wife and I, God, He brought us together because we both actually, before we met, had our own vision boards. We both actually believed in the power of affirmation and speaking life. My wife has a saying, where she says, "Command your day," and she has a bunch of affirmations that she has. I've been writing affirmations for years. I have about 700 written in my journal, and what I decided to do was create a book where a parent and child can actually bond together. So the book is designed whereas a young child can read it, and then there's some questions in there that the child has to answer. There's some questions in there that the parent has to answer, and then at the end they pray together. So what this book is, Serve Your Children to Greatness, is a parent speaking, life over their child, teaching their children how to speak affirmations. And some examples are, I am successful, I am strong, I am courageous, I am wealthy. So you get one of those a day for 30 days, and then, the child shares stories, the adult shares stories, the parent, shares stories, and then they pray together. And what that does is that builds a bond between parent and child that hopefully becomes unbreakable. And what I'm hoping even deeper than that is that child grows into an adult and turns around and does the same thing to their children and just begin to change, the lineage of their generations going forward.
That's absolutely wonderful. I'm actually kind of floored a little bit, because here's the thing. How else can you get to sit down and pray with your child. If you And I love the fact that when you said you wrote the book so that a parent or parents and a child can actually sit down, read it, go over the affirmation, and then pray together to build a bond. And I would have to say, if you are having trouble with your child or you think that you need to have more communication and you don't know how, I would highly encourage everyone to please pick up his book, because that is a tool that you can use to help communicate with your child and build that relationship. And I think if we have more of that out there, then we can help save our kids from the streets, or we can help save them from drugs or being in gangs or being in situations that will, take our child. Not saying that that's going to happen, but it builds a stronger relationship so that as a parent, they're actually obeying and following what you're saying to do to make them better. And if you can find a tool that can do that, I would say get Reginald's book. In similarity to what you wrote, when I wrote Empower Thyself, it was basically for those same affirmations. I think for me, I just kind of named them principles, and then I gave each principle a method or a technique that you can use, a tool that you can use to, overcome anxiety, depression, that you can build yourself up, how you can do better professionally, and things of that nature. And so all of these are tools, and so as we're sharing information, like we're sharing, you really have to kind of take it in and say, wow, I didn't even realize that this existed and that this was available to me, which is why I really will love this podcast. I love this podcast because we're sharing information that's not readily available. So let me ask you, Reginald, what does Serve LLC need? What do you need from other businesses that are on this podcast and all over the world that can help you do what you do?
I really just need an opportunity to speak. I really believe that one of the principles, one of my life's mottos is to teach other people how to seek excellence, respect, and value every day. So if there's an opportunity for me to get before youth, young adults, it doesn't really matter. I mean, I have some amazing workshops, some amazing trainings. I'm gonna have some more books coming out, over the next few years. I really just need an opportunity to get before an audience to share, a message that God has laid on my heart, which is basically, to teach other people how to serve. I think if we have more people serving, more people focusing on serving other people, there'll be less crime, there'll be less tension, there'll be less headaches. Because when you serve, if you really think about it, right, you're shifting the focus off of you onto someone else. So let's just say you're somebody, you're going through a foreclosure or a bankruptcy, and that's really bothering you at night. You can't sleep at all, right? But you decide to volunteer, right? You go down to your local homeless shelter, or maybe you feed your local homeless veterans or something like that. In that moment, while you're serving them, you're not thinking about your foreclosure. You're not thinking about your bankruptcy. You're thinking about the joy and satisfaction you get from, sharing and serving somebody else. So that's my whole goal, is to teach other people how to serve, and that means wake up every day, be excellent, right? Wake up every day, show respect, give respect, and expect respect to be given to you in return, right? Every day that you wake up, add value, be valuable in everything that you do. So when you're excellent, when you're displaying respect, and when you're valuable, and you're teaching other people to do that, I mean, imagine how much the world can shift if everybody grabs hold of that concept.
Yes, you definitely have to do that. And you know what, everybody, I really want you guys to really take in the last few comments that he said, is that you have to show respect. You have to show value in what you do. And you're going to hear that words a lot in this podcast, because the people who are here sharing this information is letting you know what you need to be or what you need to do to be successful. And serviceship is one of those things where it's necessary. It's absolutely necessary in your personal and professional life. So with that, Reginald, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. I'm very excited, and congratulations on your books. I'm definitely going to be one of the ones that's going to get the book, even though my children are grown. That doesn't mean I can't talk to them and still pray with them. Oh yeah, I have grandkids now. Oh my gosh. But I want everybody to kind of pick up his book, because you learn so much from other people, and then things that you learn you can incorporate in your own life. And with that, thank you so much, Reginald, for being on the podcast today.
Thank you so much.